and welcome to another episode of the HLTB podcast. I'm your host, Paula, and I'm quite sleepy today, but that's neither here nor there. Uh, and as always, I'm joined by Josh over there.
What's happening, everybody?
So, as always, we'll talk about the games we've beaten, or like Josh has beaten, the games we've retired, Josh has retired, and the games we've both been playing. And the topic of today is the Steam NextFest that happened at this point, I think it was 2 to 3 weeks ago. But anyway, we have good stuff to talk about. And bad stuff too, but more on that later. And we'll finish off with Josh quizzing me on Guess the Game. So yeah, take it away. What have you beaten?
So yeah, I am the only one who's beaten anything this week, and it is Life is Strange Before the Storm, which, if you were listening last week, I started and I'd finished almost finished the first episode. Turns out there's 3 episodes in this one. It is a bit shorter than the rest of them because it is kind of like a prequel thing and not the full 5-episode deal. So a bit shorter, a bit more concise. And like I was saying last week, it's cringe central, but it eventually won me over by the end, which is kind of what Life is Strange games do with me. They kind of, the first episode is rough, and then they actually get into some more realistic, kind of genuine, emotional content, and that kind of pulls me in, and they managed to do that part of the story quite well, I think. And yeah, the thing that I guess was a little disappointing about this game in the context of Life is Strange is that Life is Strange 1 and Life is Strange 2 both involved like magical aspects, like light spoilers, but in the first one, Max could rewind time and make different choices and all that kind of thing if she fucked something up. And in Life is Strange 2, I can't quite remember, but I think one of the kids was able to telepathically do stuff. It's been a while since I played it, but I think that was his thing. Like he could think things and make them happen kind of stuff. But yeah, this game, Before the Storm, which is all about Chloe's story, who was a character in the first game, she doesn't really have a superpower, but her thing she can do is basically argue with people really well. So it's not quite magic, but it's like she's a smartass. And when you're talking to people and having conversations and stuff, every now and then there'll be an option that'll come up, which will be like, do you really want to have a go at this person and, basically battle them in an argument? And you essentially then come up with a meter that's like got them on one side and you on the other side. And for every point or sentence that you win, quote unquote, you get closer to winning the argument. Or if you lose one, then the other person gets closer to winning the argument. So it's all based on what they say. So if they say something like, oh, you're an obnoxious child or something, I don't know, you come back with a response saying something that kind of relates to what they said, but kind of throws it back in their face. I'm not very good at this, so I'm not going to be able to come up with anything. But it's like basically just a little puzzle game that you play. And it's not really a superpower. It's more of she's a smartass. And as a fellow smartass, I can kind of relate. Because when I was, especially when I was a kid in high school, I used to have arguments with teachers and twist them around and be a complete shit. So I can kind of vibe with that. But in that sense, there's not really the magical element that Life is Strange games tend to have. It's a bit more kind of grounded, I suppose. And the issues you're dealing with are much more grounded and much more realistic. Kind of. There are some parts of the story which are quite, drama unrealistic, but that's okay. It's got to make it a bit exciting. And yeah, eventually in the end, it did win me over because there are some good scenes where you have to make certain decisions that are kind of very involve a lot of empathy and or nuanced kind of interpretations of scenarios. So it's not as easy as like black and white, this person's bad, this person's good. It's like, well, this person seems bad, but then when you get to know them, you kind of go, I can see where you're coming from. Maybe you're not so bad. We're just on different sides of the story or whatever. And, I like that kind of more realistic portrayal of conflict in that sense.
Oh.
So yeah, also, I'd say if you're a Life is Strange fan, it's worth playing because it's kind of a bit of the story that is hinted at a lot in the first game, but you don't actually see. You can play through it though in this little additional prequel. But yeah, other than that, it's pretty much what you'd expect from a Life is Strange game. Just it's still got the weird teen angst crap, but it's also got the good kind of emotional trauma kind of dealing with it stuff as well, which is what they do best, I think.
Yeah, is it weird or like the emotional stuff usually doesn't come like from the main character, from those around them?
Yeah, well, and that's definitely the case here as well. But I think the character Chloe, who you're playing, she's definitely put in a few situations where you're like, okay, this is quite confronting, like if it were real, and the way they're depicting it is quite accurate, I would say, or it feels genuine. And that's where I say like they're at their best when they do nail that stuff, because I feel like no one else really nails it the same way that they have in these games, when it's, kids dealing with emotional trauma and different forces kind of pulling and pushing them in different ways, and just trying to sort their shit out basically. And like I say, as a smart ass kid who had to sort his own shit out, I kind of relate in a way, even though I'm not a teenage girl in America. But I think some of these things are a bit universal, thankfully. So yeah, it was good. I'm glad I played it. I'm looking forward to. I'm going to eventually play True Colors, which is I think the third game in the series. I want to say, I think it's the latest one anyway. And I don't know anything about it other than it's a Life is Strange game, but it's also on PlayStation Plus, so I'll give it a go. And yeah, I kind of like the whole Life is Strange shtick. As much as it kind of annoys me in certain areas, it's also pretty fun and satisfying and different as well. Like there's not much else like it, I have to say. So yeah, I beat that. I also retired a couple of things. I picked up a bundle during the week, which is going to come up again later. But there's a Humble Bundle, which is like a Capcom Humble Bundle, and it has it's listed as basically having 70 games or something. But the way it gets away with that is because it's got the Capcom Arcade Collection #1 and #2. So there's there's a whole bunch of old like arcade games in those packs. But then it also comes with like Street Fighter 5 and Street Fighter 2 and 3 and 4. And a whole bunch of Street Fighter stuff, which is why I bought it. And I had originally started playing the Street Fighter 5 campaign on PlayStation, but this version that I got with the bundle is Street Fighter 5 with a whole bunch of extra DLCs and stuff, like all the extra characters and things. So I figured I'm going to, technically I like to record it as a retirement because I'm not going to finish the PS5 version. I'm going to start it again on PC. So that's why I kind of have listed that as retired, even though it doesn't mean I'm not going to play the game. So that's really
It just means you're not playing in that platform.
Yeah, and I'll put a note on Helen Speed as well saying, I'm only retiring it because I'm going to play it on PC instead. So Street Fighter 5 is great. I like it. If you're into Street Fighter, you know what it is. So don't really have much to say about that. But I did eventually retire Assetto Corsa as well, which was the racing game that I started not too long ago. And I mentioned it a couple of episodes ago, where it's like it reminded me a lot of like Gran Turismo, that kind of sim racing kind of game. And there's nothing really wrong with it, but I retired it because it's just that little bit too dated for me to put in all the hours I know is needed to finish that game. Because I did a few of the career events and I want to say episodes, but like chapters, I guess, or, sets of events. And there's like 20 plus sets of events, and each one takes like a couple of hours to get through. So I was looking at the rest of what's left in the career and I was like, I don't really feel like committing to that when I have many other racing games that I haven't touched that are going to take just as long but are newer and more accessible and that kind of thing. So Assetto Corsa was really good, and I'm very much looking forward to trying the sequel, which is Assetto Corsa, I think it's Competizione, something like that. Excuse my pronunciation, but it's a newer, better version of that game. And hopefully it's got better like gamepad support and that sort of thing, because as I mentioned last time, like there was nothing wrong with the Assetto Corsa. It just was a bit clunky because like you have to use mouse and keyboard in the menus. But then I prefer driving with a gamepad because you've got analog inputs. So I'd, click through the menus with a mouse and keyboard and then quickly pick up my gamepad to start racing. And that's cool, but it didn't really grab me enough to make me want to keep doing that. So, like I say, nothing really wrong with it, but it's just a bit too dated now to kind of keep me hooked when I've got plenty of other racing games I could be getting into. Like, I still need to finish Need for Speed Heat, which I started ages ago.
Yeah.
And that's a much more modern kind of exciting racing game. But yeah, so I retired Assetto Corsa as well. Not because it's bad, just because, yeah, I'm glad I tried it out, but I'm not going to commit myself to the amount of time needed to finish it. So yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough.
That's what I've retired. And that's what I mean. Like, I try not to retire stuff too often because I do try to finish things when I start them. However, I'm very open to retiring things if it's like, I'd rather play a different version, or actually, no, I have had enough of that. Very rarely do I end up retiring stuff because I hate it. It's more because I just have played enough and gone, yeah, I don't need any more of that. So
Yeah, you pretty much have to feel or have a better version of it, which is
yeah,
completely different.
exactly. So yeah, that's me. I get to shut up now. Tell us what you've been playing, Paula.
Well, before that, I don't know if you're like using the HLTB podcast user to see the agenda, but I've been seeing like these little balloons over there at over the logo, and it seems that today, February 21st, it's the podcast birthday.
Oh.
So I went back and checked the very first episode Kerf, Rick, and Toast posted. And yeah, today marks the sixth birthday of the podcast. So I guess happy birthday, us.
I'll be. Holy moly. Yeah. That's awesome.
Maybe we can plan something about this, but it, sorry, like the little balloons were distracting me, so I had to dig deeper.
I don't even know where you're seeing that, but that's okay.
I don't know, like if you click the logo of the Hello David podcast, like on the top right corner, it says "Happy Birthday, Hello David," and there's a lot of balloons, and I'm like, oh my god, I didn't realize we were like people were doing these podcasts like for 6 years now. So yeah, I don't know how we last this long. Maybe because we have a rotation of people. But hey, happy birthday!
I think that would help.
Yeah, that definitely helps.
No, that's great. Well done to everyone who's come before us, really, as well. Like, I know you were here last season, but then the guys who did the first season as well. Like,
Yeah,
it's a fun little community thing that I'm glad to still be doing. So, happy birthday!
and happy times. And hopefully we are here next year to celebrate another birthday of the podcast.
We shall see.
We shall see. Yeah. So anyway, let's back to the regular agenda. So yeah, I've been playing a lot this week, and like not a lot of games, but a lot of a bunch of games.
Hmm.
Some more than others. And this is because like I just got back from vacation and I wasn't able to play anything on vacation because I was okay, like the first week I was at my parents' house and we had my nephew over there and I played pretty much whatever my nephew wanted to play and then pass out at night because I couldn't play at night if we were playing like domino and board games at night.
Yeah.
Um
Very cool.
And then we were like out of civilization like for another week. So yeah, not not much of a chance for gaming though. I did a lot of kayak stuff, and my arms seem to want to fall off because holy crap, I never done kayak before, but it seems like it uses a lot of strength from your arms.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I finally got the chance to play and. Um, with my boyfriend, we wanted to play something together, so we tried playing Project Zomboid. This time, each of us on one computer, because I think we tried to play like a dual screen setup, like I think before we came back to base, like to Santiago, to home base. And we felt miserably like you don't want half a screen to play Project Zomboid. Zombies will eat you. Just saying that. So we decided to start like a new server, a new game, and we were playing Project Zomboid, which, by the way, I've talked about it on the podcast before. So you pretty much have to survive zombie apocalypse as long as you can, because like the game tells you like this is a story of how you died.
Yep.
And it is beautiful, and it is magnificent. So the thing is that I don't know if we just suck at this game or the game is generally like up its difficulty. But I'm pretty sure like last time we played it, we didn't have like that many zombies.
Right.
But we learned that crouching, chopping, and stomping are like your best friends during the early game. Like if you crouch, not only zombies are less likely to see you, especially if you're like behind some barrier, but since you move slower, you make like a lot less noise.
Mhm.
And we were crouching everywhere, so we actually got like some extra hours to live out of that, and we weren't like immediately swamped with zombies. The other thing that there's another recommendation that it is usually advised not to run from zombies, especially if it's like a smaller group, mainly because running will attract more zombies.
Right.
Well, and another thing that people said that you should probably do is like remap the shouting key to something you cannot accidentally press. Because for some stupid reason, you're able to shout on this game, like two other players in a zombie game, where you have to be stealthy, where zombies like as much as catch a whiff of your scent will then swamp you because holy moly, that's a fresh rain to it. So yeah, like literally like the first 5 minutes where we're playing like on this new playthrough, I'm gonna say.
Mm.
I was like, hey, and how were you supposed to crouch? And accidentally pressed the Q key and shouted. And yeah, zombies were up my door, breaking the windows, hitting me. That good times. Um. So yeah, do not press Q.
I feel
For
like
the
that's
love of
happened to you
God.
before as well.
Huh?
I feel like you've mentioned that that's happened to you before as well.
Yep.
So this isn't the first time.
This isn't my first rodeo either. But yeah, like and also when you don't have a weapon, I was like, how the fuck do you kill zombies? Well, you shove them to the ground and stomp on their heads. That's how. So those are your other two best friends over here. Um, and yeah, only having those controllers down, we were able to last like a couple of days versus like 5 hours that we were like lasting in game like previously. So I call that a win. Still, we
Nice.
decided not to touch Project Zomboid for now because we're like we had to get good, I guess. And we went to play another game that has zombies, but you can go into a power fantasy and kill them all, called Terraria. So I
Mm.
played Terraria before.
Yeah.
I usually just dig, dig, and then build a house and then be happy with that and leave it at that. But this time around, we've actually had some battles with bosses and stuff like that. So again, I started the new game with my boyfriend, and we were like on our way to dig to somewhere, I guess. And I think each of us like went our separate ways for a little bit, like just to cover more ground.
Yep.
No pun intended. And the thing is that I found like a little cave, And the moment I broke like the last block separating me from that cave, I got an achievement called Jeepers Creepers. You found a spider then.
Ooh.
Fuck. I only had like wooden armor, a wooden sword, and well, my boyfriend, I think he was like in a pyramid or something, and he got like a flying carpet, and he also got like a maze, like I don't know where. So he was the one in charge of spider genocide at this point.
Nice.
He unalived all the spiders. Um, Later, he said something about finding Navi and her guiding him to some treasure, and it was like, "What the fuck you're talking about? Navi is from another game. From Ocarina of Time is the fairy companion of Link." And then I found a little fairy, and I got the achievement "Hey, listen," which is well, that was pretty much Navi, and the fairy guided me to somewhere else.
Nice.
On the oh, and this is the funny stuff. Like at some point, he was like, "Hey, I think we're ready, like to fight the Eye of Cthulhu. We can summon, we can summon it. We have the item. We can make like better armor and get better equipment. So we did,
Mhm.
and we were trying to summon it, and it didn't work. And it was like, and we checked a guide, and you had to summon it during the night. So we said like, okay, as soon as we hit nighttime, we're summoning that fucker and killing it. What could possibly go wrong? Well, we summon it, and then we noticed it was a blood moon night. Fuck. So we somehow survived the whole ordeal. So we got. I also got the achievement to Till Dead because there was like this zombie dressed up as a groom, and I killed it, and I got
Cool.
that achievement. Also, a very fancy hat out of it. We killed the Eye of Cthulhu, got the achievement Eye on You, and a fuck ton of gold. And we
Nice.
also got the achievement for Bloodbath because we somehow survived that blood moon. And it was horrible, but we did it. Skip ahead a day, and we were exploring. I was exploring like in the underground. He was exploring the overworld. I found some rails, so I very speedily got the achievement for vehicular manslaughter, which is kill an enemy using the mining cart. And that
Cool.
was the way it happened was very funny because I kind of like I was like zooming past everything and then accidentally hit a zombie and realized I could damage it, so I went back and finished the job. So I got that particular trophy, and then I went to another cave and found a very appealing treasure chest across the water. And I went to open it. And the second, like I swear, the second I touched this treasure chest to open it, I exploded. It was a dead man's chest.
Nice.
And I got the achievement that said, Dead men tell no tales. And let me read you real quick, like the description of this trophy, because holy crap, it is super funny.
Mhm.
Uh, dead men, dead men tell no tales. You were so preoccupied with whether or not you could open the chest that you didn't think to stop. You didn't stop to think if you should. And I also like the description said something about my depravity costing my life or something like that. And I'm like, oh my god,
Very
fuck
good.
the
Very
game.
good.
And after that particular episode, like I came back the next day to try to open the chest again, and I got that dead man's sweater and some other stuff, but whatever. So yesterday our adventure started with a goblin invasion of all things. And it was very funny because we were talking about like, hey, you know what? I realized we could make some really cool stuff with this particular thing for building.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like, yeah, but you need to get the goblin tinker to sell it to you. And he only appears after like a goblin invasion. And as we were talking, we got the notification of a goblin army coming from the west of the base, and we were like, well, just our luck. So
Must
we
be listening to
survived.
you.
Yeah, the game is listening to us. We survived the goblin invasion, by the way. We got the achievement Goblin Puncture. And then my boyfriend got to find the Goblin Tinker. It was a pain in the ass getting him like to the base, but we got him, and we have the thing to make. We can now combine like accessories and make like a better accessory with both of the accessories effects,
Cool.
which is nice. Um, Also, I was on my way to the center of the earth because I realized like the map ended somewhere
Yeah.
for Terraria, and I was like, I want to get there. I had that idea, and no one would take it away from me. Um, so I was on my way digging to the center of the earth, and meanwhile, my boyfriend was trying to explore, and then slimes started falling down from the sky.
Nice.
So there was a slime rain. Beautiful. And I don't know if it's the number of slimes that you kill or if it's the actual slime rain event thing. But he summoned the Slime King.
That sounds good.
And he managed to kill it like by himself because I was too busy like trying to guide like a body of water towards lava. And realized that you can farm obsidian that way. So it wasn't like a wasted effort. My boyfriend will be remembered by his sacrifice over there. And then I managed, after all that digging, I got to the underworld and got the achievement is getting hot in here, saying, yeah, you got to literal hell here.
Awesome.
So I was like exploring the place, killing some demons, but I realized there were like I think it was like a voodoo demon or something like that. I don't remember the name of it. But the thing that is that it when it dies, it can drop like a voodoo doll that you use to summon the wall of flesh. So I was being careful not to kill it. And very careful to avoid it too, because holy crap, it hits like a track with this magic. And I wasn't prepared for that. So I tried to like throw magic at this way. And I don't know if my magic was weak or the thing was too strong, but I didn't do anything to it. So yeah, I was being a coward, like making a tunnel on the air as I dig the tunnel on the air.
Nice.
And then my boyfriend was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And he arrived to hell like via wormhole potion.
Yep.
And I told him, "Hey, be careful." He immediately went kill a demon over a pit of lava. It just happened that the demon was holding a voodoo doll, and it fell into the lava. He summoned the wall of flesh by accident.
Nice.
So we died miserably to that. On happier news, we have a pet slime. I don't know where my version got it. If it was with some kind of merchant, I don't know, but it is cute and we pet it. And then we found, well, my boyfriend found a beehive because I was once again on my, I was like either a beaver or a mole on my past life because in every single survival game, I either deforest the shit out of it like a little beaver, or in this case, I just dig my way to hell like a mole. So he found a beehive. We said, okay, for the last thing today, let's defeat the queen bee. So we went to do that. Holy crap, that was very difficult to do, but we did it. Like we had like a very reduced space, so and that thing hits like a track and can summon little bees, and it wasn't fun. But we managed to defeat the queen bee and got our last trophy of the day, Sting of Origin. And we said,
Cool.
hey, let's take a break. We've been playing at this for hours, so let's take a break.
There's so much to do in that game, though.
There's so much to do. Like, holy crap! We also visited like an ice biome that was like after like the crimson thing, and at this point, like I don't know why, but we found like a stupid amount of gold, like just on the first day of playing. So we have like gold. He had like gold armor. I had like silver armor, but we have like all our tools gold. And then we
Yeah.
got like to a ready or something, and people usually skip the gold upgrade because gold is so rare. And we are like, what is wrong with our world? Like, we don't find tungsten or copper, but we found gold in space. And I don't know. I'm not one uh, to refuse that gift. But anyway.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Okay, there over. I've been also playing like a couple of single player games. One of them, not tonight, which by the way, what was the name of the guy, Jabber or something like that? He sucks. He's always like saying like you won last and you owe me money and stuff like that. So for the first chapter, you have to collect like 2,500 euros, or no, pounds. We don't talk about
Yeah.
euros in this game. So um so I was worried I wouldn't be able to get that amount of money, but it as you go through the game and as you take more jobs like from the same person, you level up and get more money. Also, if you finish like the side objectives, you also get more money as a bonus. And if you're like the head bouncer, you get double the money. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, chapter 1 was pretty much a breeze. I also upgraded my apartment, my flat a little bit because it was ugly, had cockroach and dirt everywhere, and I was like, how in the world are you resting here? But anyway, also no shade to Matt. He loves his roach.
I was going to say, but yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, we got some new mechanics like dress codes, tickets, and VIP passwords. So for dress codes, some pubs will tell you like do not allow people with beachwear to enter.
Yep.
Tickets, the ticket has to have the correct day and also has to have a stamp. And the VIP password, they give you like a little paper with the password, and then they take it away from you, so you have to remember the damn password. What happens to me like once that I didn't realize I had a password, so I didn't look at the thing. So I had to guess what the password was, and hopefully like the first person said the correct one. So thank you. Thank you. So
Cool.
I also got an achievement. It seems that if you and there are like one nationalities. So the first one that you get is France, because I don't know what the meme is, but everyone seems to hate France. Like,
I think there's a big thing about British and France, like England and France hating each other.
oh yeah, but for example, I watched like a Spanish YouTuber and he hates France. So it seems like it is a Euro thing against France at this point. But anyway.
Could be, yeah.
But yeah, it seems like if you refuse like two Evan nationalities in a way, like in a row, you also get like an achievement called None of That for Yup. I finished chapter 1. At some
Cool.
point in chapter 2, like you get a specific path where you can like go during the day or during the night, because like there are like brothers like allegedly twin brothers, but I swear it's the same guy. Uh, So one works during the day, the other one works during the night, and they can't stand each other or something like that. So I decided to side with the one working during the night because it pays more and it's less work.
Cool.
Or so I thought, because there he's supposed to be like the chill brother, but he's like do not like ban nationalities. I don't remember if he has a password, but at the very least he was like, I think he has a guest list. I don't remember anymore. Whatever. Also, at some point, you get jobs from Yup or Yupper. I don't know. Which I did.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you have to pay bills now, and you have to manage the protagonist's health. But if you skip work, your social credit goes down, and it's like, holy crap, what happened here? I thought I was playing something like Papers, Please, but there's like so much more to this.
Right.
And I also got the ability to scan and ban people. Like each buff will have a set of forbidden items. So if you see like a weird squared over like the clothes of a character, you can scan them, and if they have like the ban item, you have to turn them away.
Yep.
Also, I finished chapter 2. Holy crap! I've been playing through this game. I think I have like one chapter left. But yeah, it's been a very entertaining game. The one thing that I missed from Papers, Please is that it actually had like a consistent difficulty curve.
Right.
Because in this game, like how difficult it is will depend on what the job is.
Yep.
And sometimes you have to like just check that the person has a proper ID. And other times you have to check the dress code, the ticket, and the VIP password, and also a guest list, and all in one. So, holy crap!
Mm-hmm.
Still,
Interesting. Yeah.
I've had like a lot of fun with this game. So thank you so much for the recommendation and also giving it to me, because it has been a time. Like,
Cool. I need to replay it myself as well, just to kind of refresh myself, because it's been a while, and yeah, I need to give it another shot. Just a quick playthrough, just to kind of go, oh yeah, I remember what this is all about now. So hopefully I'll do that sometime soon.
Please do, because holy crap, it is so fun. Also, I've been playing R9 Bar Commons. This is actually a replay because I played it, I don't know how many years ago, on Vita. I'm pretty sure this was like my second Otome game. Like, actually, just let me check real quick because I'm that kind of person. R9.
Old school.
You actually played it on 2017. So it's been a while. Holy crap, it's been a while. So I got this away again, but for a Switch, because well, I remember like the game itself, the story, I like it. But I do remember the Vita version having like some very strange choices for localization. Let's leave it at that.
Right.
So I've been wanting to replay it because I finally got the fan disc, but I was like, well, I replayed the Vita version, but then we had a sale on Amazon, like 50% off the game, and it was like, well, might as well. And I was so close to buying it like on digital, but I don't know, like something about having the option to have it like physical to still like a decent price, and actually owning the cartridge and not having to depend for the thing to be online when I want to buy it, which it has happened to me. So yeah, I'm so happy that I actually got a physical. And the other thing is that I actually got the character card. So Axis usually, like when Axis localizes automatic games, they have like a first run of the game with the character cards, and This game, I think, was released like about half a year ago, a little bit more. I know it's less than a year because I got the Nintendo Gold coins from the physical version, and you can only get those in the first year.
Yep.
No, I'm sure it was like half a year ago. But anyway, I got the cards, and I'm so fucking happy. Now I can like just show the characters to Josh, so I have like an actual picture to show. So, anyway, that aside, the localization is pretty good so far.
Cool.
So this game starts a little bit different to most otome games because you start as a little 12-year-old boy called Sorata, and he lives in modern era Japan. And he's like the kind of kid that the teachers either love or hate because he's kind of like a smartass. But
Yep.
he's very interested in research and science, but he's also a little bit more of a smartass. So he kind of like wins every argument because he can. They're visiting the dive building in Japan, which is kind of like where political stuff happens, and mysterious things happens, and suddenly he's on Taisho era Japan,
Cool.
and pretty much like suffering what could be pretty much like um sleep paralysis or something like that because he can feel his arms, legs, and he's freezing cold. And then this weird girl, oh my god, I swear I can English. And suddenly this weird girl appears,
Mhm.
and she's kind of like okay, she's like very formal when asleep when talking, but also she's kind of like very weird in the sense of she knows even less than Sorata of what is going on here. Anyway, she kind of like adopts Sorata because he's like, well, I come from very far away, and she's like, well, we're going very far away, so maybe we'll pass by your house. And he's like, what the hell is with this girl? I can feel the future, girl. And he's like, well, we're visiting the world, which is this organization that has like very good technology, so maybe we'll find a way. And he's like, well, fuck it, I'll go with you.
As you do.
They enter this ship that, which is pretty much a airship, spaceship, whatever. This round metallic thing that has no business being in the Taisho era, but also seems to be like very old because it has like vines and things growing on it.
Right.
We get stopped by people from the ship, and it seems that this ship has espers. So in Nord 9, we have people with powers like going in this mission. And when I say powers, it can be like something like, well, the girl we met before has like fire powers. She can like make fire pretty much out of nothing,
Mhm.
and control it. We have a guy who can grow plants out of thin air as long as he's seen the plant before. But also we have another character that can erase memories, or another character that can put like this huge ass barrier that no one can trespass.
Cool.
So powers can be like very varied. And we also have a guy who can control dreams, if I remember correctly. Like I don't remember like most of the powers here. Like I just remember them. I pretty much have to relearn everything. So Nor 9 not only has like this very fantasy-esque setting where you have a group of uh, like teenage slash young adults, like they're like on that age limit, I guess.
Yep.
Um, who are espers they have powers on this airship, and they are like on their way to somewhere because this organization called the World, which by the way, the world has existed according to this lore. The world has existed since the dawn of history. It holds more knowledge and has access to more information than any country on the face of the earth, and they're supposed to be like the peacekeepers. Like they
Mm.
do not allow conflict here, especially like armed conflict. Um, so you have that kind of setting, and for Sorata. Like his brain is melting and he's in denial because he's like, it seems like I'm on the past, but there's knowledge of things that I've never heard about before. So yeah, that's like the opening of the game. But also, this game has a very special feature. We have 3 main characters, which you get to choose after the prologue. So you have Nanami, the purple hair girl, and I think she's the one that erases memories. You have Koharu, the pink hair girl, and that also the weird girl that you meet on the start of the game, and she has power over fire. And you have Mikoto, and she's like my favorite because she, I don't know, like her personality just vibes with me. But
Nice.
she is the one like that makes barriers to protect the ship from attackers. So you get to choose one of these 3, and each of them has 3 routes. So you have 9 routes in this game, and I'm pretty sure you have like a 10th route that is like the one that closes like everything. But I'm not quite sure right now because I don't remember.
That's good.
So yeah, like the way they have you like, well, they first have you like pick a protagonist, but then the way they have you like pick a route is saying like, hey, there seems to be like a trader in this ship. We already formed teams of 3 or 4, and that doesn't seem to be working. So now we're forming pairs, and I don't know. They'll bullshit their way around so that girls don't group together. So they're pretty much forced to pick one of the guys on their team. Which, okay, I'm not even mad. That's amazing. So yeah, right now I'm on Kakeru's route, which is the guy that controls plant life and stuff. And it seems to be like it's even like the recommended first route for players, even from the developers. Like they give you like a little note of which character. Sorry, for each girl, they give you like the first route that is recommended. That's the thing.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this because holy crap. I'm excited because I haven't played this like in such a long while. But anyway, I'm gonna shut up for right now because we still need to talk about so much more, and you still have to talk about the games you've been playing.
Which I've got more and less to say about. But so yeah, I've been playing a few different things. I'll get to something later, but after retiring Assetto Corsa, because I like to always have a racing game on the go, just because I enjoy racing games and I like to pick it up every now and then and have a race, I picked up the game Horizon Chase Turbo, which again, I'd started playing on a different platform, but then got it on PC, so I've decided to continue it on PC. And this is a very old school, well, it's a new game, but it's an retro-inspired arcade racing game. It's the complete opposite to a sim racer. It's entirely arcadey. You just have to hold accelerate and turn to go around the corners. There's really nothing else to it. You pick up power-ups along the way, and you have to pick up fuel while you're driving, otherwise you might run out of fuel. And it's
that would be inconvenient.
It happens as well because it's easy to do, but it's trying to go back to that old school kind of almost like Commodore 64 era racing game where the track kind of appears as you race through it and you only see a little bit in front of you, and it's almost like you're always going over a hill the way that it renders. And it reminds me a lot of playing, say, like Pole Position or something on the Commodore 64, but with modern graphics and frame rates and all that kind of stuff. So I really like games like this that use kind of retro systems, but with modern, capabilities of hardware and stuff, because it's all very smooth. It's all like 60 FPS. It's, got modern soundtrack even. I can play it with my controller. It's very high-res kind of fidelity graphics and stuff. So even though it's very cartoony and everything, but it's a really fun just arcade race. It reminds me of the races you'd kind of go and play in the arcade, literally, not just as like a arcade being a word for kind of more casual. But and it is difficult in parts as well, but you basically race through a series of races. Depending on how well you do, you earn points, and as you reach certain point thresholds, you unlock more cars and more races and that kind of thing. So even if you don't do very well, you can still kind of progress, because you just might have to, if you don't do very well in a race, you just might have to complete it a couple of times to earn enough points to kind of get on to the next one. Whereas if you win it and collect all the collectibles and everything in the same race, you can probably earn enough points just in one go to kind of get into the next one. So it's a bit forgiving in that way, and it's just a lot of fun. It's a real easy one to just kind of pick up, play for 20 minutes and put back down again when the mood strikes. So I'm really enjoying that. I also started a game, an old school point and click called Lost Horizon, which I've always heard about and I've had for a long time from bundles and stuff. It's one of those classic kind of, I want to say like 2010s-ish point and click games, which is debatably classic, but they're a bit old school now, given that they're like 15 years ago. But it's like 3D rendered kind of point and click as opposed to a 2D sprite-based game. And there's a whole series of Lost Horizon games. I think there's 3 in the series, and they're all quite lengthy as well, I think. And they're kind of like Indiana Jones style adventures, in that they're kind of set in that kind of period, like early 20th century. And, well, I think this is like even during or after or just before one of the world wars, because I think there's like Nazis involved and stuff. So, they're the bad guys, obviously.
Obviously.
But it's a straight up adventure, as in you play some dude who's like, the smart ass kind of, Harrison Ford kind of Indiana Jones character who thinks they're pretty good and goes on an adventure to find the treasure, whatever it may be, that, the Nazi bad guys are after, because they've got like plans for it to awaken some demon or some crap. And yeah, it's good fun though. It's a good old point and click. The thing I do like about it is it's one of those point and clicks that is very much all you need to use is your mouse. So it's all very contextual. So you hover your mouse on points and it will give you options as you hover that you can then right click or left click and interact with things in different ways. As opposed to, say, old school like actual what I would call classic point and clicks, where you get given like a series of verbs that you can pick from. So you'd pick like use and then click on something you want to use. Or you'd pick talk and then click on something you want to talk to. Or you'd click on get and you'd pick on something, In this kind of era of point and clicks, it's more like contextual. So you kind of hover your mouse over it and it'll say, well, this is a person. So you can either look at the person or you can like talk to the person, depending on what your input is. So it's that kind of style of point and click. I haven't delved too far into it. I've done like the first chapter and I'm very much enjoying it because I enjoy point and clicks. And lately I've just kind of been going through my library because I know I've got a whole bunch of point and clicks in there from various bundles and that sort of thing. And especially some real classics, like I've always heard of Lost Horizon, the series. I've heard of, say, like the Yesterday series as well, which I want to play eventually. And yeah, there's some other point and clicks in there as well that I plan to kind of work my way through, because these games are kind of like really in my wheelhouse. Like I tend to not have many issues getting through them. I know they can be really confusing for some people and the logic and the puzzles can be quite challenging. But I think because I've always played point and click games, so I kind of I feel like I can easily get into the mindset and get on the same page really quickly to just kind of know what the game wants me to do anyway. Which, will obviously vary depending on how experienced people are with point and clicks. But Lost Horizon, it's a good series so far anyway. It's definitely better than some others I've played, which there was another series, I forget what it was, but it was another 3-game point and click series of the same sort of era, but it was so slow and badly written, and all the jokes were terrible, but I forget what it was. That's probably a good thing because I don't want to necessarily bash it. But anyway, this is a good one. So far, this is cool. So yeah, there's that. I also, when I picked up this Capcom bundle on Humble, I did open up Capcom Arcade Stadium and have a look around. It's basically like a series of old arcade games. There's like 3 or 4 or 5 versions of the game 1942, which is a vertical shooter. So it's like top down, you're in a plane and you travel up the screen as enemies come down the screen and you shoot them all. Very simple kind of gameplay. We've all played a game like that before, like Raptor was a big one. Raptor Call of the Shadows back in the 90s. So yeah, that's cool. And there's a whole bunch of games on there which I haven't got into yet, but I've just been playing 1942 basically. But I really like the options because it's basically an emulator because it's emulating old, arcade games from like the 90s and the 80s. So there's a whole lot of stuff in there which people may or may not recognize. Like, again, there's some Street Fighter games in there. There's some, what's the ones? Oh, there's a particular Capcom one which was Final Fight, I think it is, which is like the Double Dragon style, like beat 'em up kind of game. And there's other ones as well that you'd probably recognize if you saw it. But because it's basically an emulator, you get all the good stuff that comes with an emulation engine. So you can there's save states. You can choose to just be invulnerable as well, which I think is really cool because some of those old games are really tough and difficult. And if you want to even just play them and experience them, it's nice to have a God mode you can put on because why not? Who cares? You're playing single player anyway. So, I'm looking forward to kind of exploring that some more because there are some games in there which I definitely am familiar with because I, believe it or not, I'm old enough that I did play games in arcades when I was a kid. So bit of a trip down memory lane there. But I also have Capcom Arcade Stadium number 2, which was in the same bundle, and that has a whole mess of other games. There's like 30 games in each one that you can check out from classic Capcom catalog. So yeah, we'll talk more about that in the future when I've played some more, but at the moment I'm just enjoying looking at what's on there and kind of having a bit of a nostalgic little romp through at least the 1942 games because that's all I've been playing. The other day I was meant to play Baldur's Gate 3 with my friends as I usually do, but they decided to patch the game, and Baldur's Gate does this wonderful thing where instead of just, releasing even a 10 gig patch if they want, they make you download the entire game again. So, and that's like 150 gigabytes.
So it's about a bunch of hours.
It's enough that we all kind of my mates and I kind of got on a call on Discord to play Baldur's Gate, and one of my mates was like, oh, there's a patch and it's downloading and it's going to take 3 or 4 hours. So I guess we're not playing it tonight.
That's right.
Yeah, so instead of playing Baldur's Gate 3, we played We Need to Go Deeper, which I have talked about a while ago because I played this with one of my friends a while ago, and it's like a fun kind of cartoony submarine game where there's different systems, like one person drives or is the pilot, one person controls guns, another person can repair damage while the other people are firing the guns and driving the sub. And so this time we played it with 3 people when I'd only ever played it with 2 people before, and it's just mental. It's those sorts of hyper co-op games when you have 3 people who all have different ideas about how to do stuff. And, we're not the kind of people who elect a leader and pretend to be all militaristic about it. We just play and have fun and have a laugh, and that's that. So it was cool. I really like this game the more that I've played it with friends. It's such a perfect kind of vehicle to have fun with some friends, really. Even if it looks like the kind of game you're probably not going to be into, or it doesn't look too appealing in screenshots, I would say it's definitely a lot more fun than you'd ever expect it to be, just because it is, really. I mean, there's so much to get out of it, and there's so many different things to do and explore and different enemies to fight and all that kind of stuff. It's constantly fresh. But it's, yeah, my friend who we played with who hasn't played it before, so of the 3 of us, 2 of us had played it together before, but the other one, it was new for them. And after we'd finished, they were like, man, that was so much fun. That was such a good multiplayer game. I can't believe I've never played it before. And yeah, I'd say We Need to Go Deeper is definitely one to check out if you have people to play with, obviously. But yeah, if you're looking for a really fun, really just straight up good time in a multiplayer co-op kind of environment, We Need to Go Deeper is definitely, it just gets better and better the more I play it, I have to say. And finally, I started doing something which I think everyone who's listening to this probably has done at some point, where you're in the middle of playing a bunch of new stuff that's like hot and exciting and you still want to play it. But then something you've played before goes on special and you're like, oh, I'll buy that and just give it a replay. And then I've not played anything else since.
Ta-da!
So the original Red Dead Redemption, or I say original, the remaster Game of the Year version of Red Dead Redemption that is available on PlayStation 5 went on special. And I've kind of had it on my watch list for a while to wait for it to go cheap enough. And it went cheap enough. So I was like, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to play it. And I pretty much haven't played anything else since I bought it because it's better than I remember it being. Like, I played it originally on PS3 when it came to PS3 because I think it was originally an Xbox 360 game, like exclusive for a while. And then it went to PlayStation. But then this is obviously the remastered version, which is, it feels the same, but I'm sure the graphics are a little bit better. The textures are probably a little bit better, all that kind of stuff. It also includes the whole Undead Nightmare mode, which is like the zombie mode that I haven't got into yet because I'm going to do that afterwards. But yeah, I mean, say what you will about Grand Theft Auto or Rockstar games in general and their open worlds. I just love the way they do open worlds. I think it's really good. And Red Dead Redemption, I think, is different enough to GTA and to anything else you've played that it still remains interesting and fun. And just random stuff like the fact that you're riding around on horses the whole time kind of slows you down and makes you kind of visit more places, unless you're fast traveling, of course. But as you ride from place to place, there's always random events happening. Like there might be a dude camping in the wilderness and he yells out to you to come over and say howdy. And you go over to him and he's like, hey, I bet you I can shoot more birds than you can in the time limit. So you're like, cool, let's do that. And you have like a little shoot off between you and this other dude. Or you might be wandering through the wilderness and you hear some shots kind of in the distance that are getting closer. And you find there's like a couple of cops chasing a bandit. And you can choose to either help the bandit or help the cops, depending on if you're playing honorably or not.
Mm-hmm.
And even down to if you like kill the dude, it's worth a certain amount of honor. If you just lasso him and hog tie him up and keep him alive, then it's worth more honor. And all these sorts of like little random things that happen. And, you know, granted, they do get a little bit repetitive after you've played for a long time because you see the same kind of events are obviously randomly occurring on the map. But yeah, it's just after playing through it for, I think I've played like 30 hours of it in the last week or two. And the progression in Red Dead Redemption is just really, really cool because the way it makes you kind of start off in like a desert kind of American environment. And then you end up going down to Mexico. And then after you've done everything in Mexico, you go more east and you end up in a more kind of snowy and foresty kind of environment in Eastern America. And it's all on a very relatively small map, but it really feels like a big map and it feels much larger than it actually is because of how it's set out and how you get around as well. Like simple fact that you're not driving around in really fast cars kind of helps make it feel really bigger, really bigger, makes it feel much bigger. Yeah. But, and there's just something about it where it's the kind of game where it makes me almost like role play the character rather than just running around like a mad person trying to tick boxes or anything. Like I do a lot of just walking around slowly in this game because it feels like the right thing to do because you're just a cowboy moseying on down the road kind of thing. And so sometimes, you know, you arrive in a village or something and you just walk on down the street because that's where you're going, down the other end of the street. But no need to run. Might as well just walk and see what's happening around as you go. And it's a really weird game in that sense because most other games, you're tapping to like run as fast as you can and get from point A to point B really quickly, and maybe not pay much attention to anything else that's going on. But something about Red Dead just kind of always inspires me to just take my time and be a bit of a cowboy, and just kind of chill. And yeah, so it's a lot of fun, and I'm having a really good time, even though I've already 100% of this game before, and I plan to basically 100% it again because I'm having that much of a good time. But it's obviously at the expense of everything else that I've been playing that's a bit newer and a bit more unknown and even more exciting perhaps. But it's funny how that happens sometimes where I'm sure everyone will understand what happens where you end up replaying a game that you love in spite of all the fun new stuff that you're playing anyway.
I was thinking like one of the things that I've heard about Red Dead Redemption, well, the second one, I don't know if the first one has like the I'm gonna say morality system because I don't remember the actual name of the system. Like in the second one, like the protagonist kind of read it in a way that he doesn't like to be bossed around, but he usually ends up doing things anyway.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's where I do think the Red Dead Redemption is a better game overall than Red Dead 2. And I have played both of them and 100% of both of them. But Red Dead 2 has like more complex systems like that. Like there is an honor system in the first one where basically you do good things, you get an honorable kind of reputation.
Mm-hmm.
Do bad things, you get a dishonorable reputation. And that affects how the world treats you.
Yeah.
So when you go to there's a place called Thieves Landing in both games actually, but there's a place called Thieves Landing which is like where all the bad guys hang out. Essentially, it's the town that's full of bandits and bad dudes. So the first time I went in there, I was a very honorable reputation, and so a whole lot of bad guys just suddenly started attacking me and calling me out and challenging me to duels and things. Because I was honorable. If I went in there as a dishonorable character, they'd all just be like, "Oh yeah, cool, welcome,"
Yeah. Like on one hand, there's that, but also you like on conversations, you can be like a proper person or an asshole, and that has like the fact that you can be like just be an asshole and not have repercussions because of it is just wonderful. I think. Because sometimes in games when you have like a morality system or whatever, like everything goes into that morality system, like regardless if it's like actual actions or not, or stuff like that. Like you could be like the most virtuous guy in town action wise, but you can be an asshole.
Yeah. And that's where I think like that's much more a Red Dead 2 kind of thing, because they did expand the system a lot more and make it more nuanced like that, which is good in its own way, but it also has its own issues. Whereas in Red Dead 1, it's very much any good thing you do makes the slider go higher on honorable, and any bad thing you do makes it go down. So it's just balancing that out really. Because that's where I think I'm preferring Red Dead 1 more than when I played Red Dead 2. And that's not it's a weird thing, because it's not to say that Red Dead 2 isn't a really good game and isn't even a better game. Like the map is bigger, the systems are more intricate and complex. Like the morality system is way more complex. The crime system is way more complex as well. Like there's different things you can do that kind of will get police after you or not. Whereas the first one is very much still like GTA, like do something illegal and cops start chasing you and you've got to run away from them.
Yeah.
Whereas I think in Red Dead 2, it's a bit more complex than that, and there's different ways to resolve it as well. So there is that. However, there's a lot of things in Red Dead 2 which I found really just frustrating and annoying when I played it. And even down to dumb stuff which is more realistic but not necessarily fun in a game sense, where in Red Dead 2, for example, you can only carry, I think it's like 2 large weapons at a time. So like a rifle and a shotgun, and that's it. if you want other weapons, you have to go to your horse where they're stored and basically take them off your horse to put them in your pocket, or like, you know, equip them to your person. And that's really realistic. So cool. But it's not much fun either. Like, the novelty wears off really, really quickly. And when you're in a firefight and you're like, oh shit, I forgot to get my good gun off my horse, and now I've got to try and run to my horse and get my good gun while people are shooting me, and I'm probably going to die, it's just annoying. Whereas in Red Dead, it's just a classic, you know, you're carrying every single weapon you ever own, and you just select it and it magically appears kind of thing. So sometimes I don't want it to be so realistic that it's kind of annoying. I'd rather it be a bit of, have a bit of gamification to kind of make it fun. And I think that's fine. And there's other stuff as well, like riding horses in Red Dead Redemption 1 isn't as realistic as it is in Red Dead 2. But in Red Dead 1, I've never ridden my horse into a tree and fallen off. Whereas in Red Dead 2, I did that regularly because for some reason your horse is just stupid and will not avoid trees. So if you make the wrong move and you send your horse directly into a tree, it's going to crash into said tree and you're going to fall off your horse. And again, that might be more realistic, but not as fun because you're constantly trying to get up and get back on your horse. And especially when you're chasing someone and the controls feel a bit funny because they're trying to emulate the fact that you don't have 100% control over your horse. So you're trying to like push your horse in various directions. Whereas in Red Dead 1, it's much more, you've got way more control. Like you can push it too hard and the horse will kick you off, but it's really easy to avoid that because you know when that's going to happen anyway. And there's just lots of stuff like that where in Red Dead 2, I found like there were way more moments of frustration and just annoyance at the game. Whereas in Red Dead 1, it's pretty much happiness and fun all the way through. So yeah, I'm replaying that and I'm going to continue replaying it until I've 100%ed it. I've nearly finished the campaign again. I'm working on at the moment all the, for anyone who knows, all the Legend of the West stuff, all the challenges, which are like, you know, kill 3 bears with only 1 shot, or collect every herb in the entire map. And, you know, those sorts of things, which when you max them out, you get like a special outfit and, you know, it makes you all super cool. And yeah, so once I've finished all that, I'm going to do the Undead Nightmare stuff as well, which I have done before because when I originally played it, I did play the DLC too. And that stuff is actually really fun. It's like an additional zombie campaign on top of the regular campaign. And yeah, very much enjoying Red Dead Redemption. In fact, I'm even going to say that I'm enjoying it more than I expected to when I bought it and fired it up again. So, you know, hats off to Red Dead for maintaining its, or living up to its reputation, I should say, because it's often referred to as like a high point in open world game design and making. And I kind of agree with that. So yeah, that's all I've been playing. Don't really need anything else. But let's get on to have a little chat about our NextFest demos, because I know we've both played a few, and I've probably, again, I think I've played a few more than Paula has.
You didn't play like 70 something like last time, did you?
No, not 70, but let me look.
Oh, yeah.
Because I've been taking notes. I've played 22, so much, much less.
Okay. That's more reasonable.
But I didn't get through all the demos I downloaded as well, because I went through Steam and just kind of like downloaded a whole heap of demos. So I've still got a whole bunch on my account that I've downloaded ready to go. I think there's probably about 10 or 15 demos that I haven't tried yet that I mean to try. So I'll get to them as well and probably talk about them next week. But for now, why don't you take it away, Paula, and let's hear what you've been playing and what's good that we should check out.
Okay, so I've only played 4 demos, and you could say that it was almost like in a, like I started up like not good, and I ended up like in an amazing not, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But the first one that I play is Tell Me Your Story, and it has like a cute art style, and it feels like it's kind of like a little to the left, but
Right.
not as good. So in the first level, they kind of have you like clean up like the entrance to a house, but they don't really specify that you had to. They only like say, "Hey, here's a room, do a thing,"
Right.
and you kind of are supposed to realize that there's a door in the first place and that to clean stuff out of the way. And the same way that with a little to the left, you have to like sort them in a specific way. But
Mhm.
it's, I don't know, it's kind of like clunky in a way. It's like a little to the left, but clunky because like um you are given like fixed positions where to like pile up stuff. Like you have base and boxes, and you have like a base or a box like fixed to the ground. So you have to put only bases or only boxes like at a particular spot. So um, in a way, you also have like that rule of you can only go smaller as you pile up stuff up,
Yeah.
which well that makes sense. When in a way, it gives you like a lot less freedom that a little to the left had. Like a little to the left has like multiple solutions to some of the puzzles. It never
Yeah.
tells you straight up that hey, you have to pile them in a specific order. You have to just follow your instinct and solve the puzzle because that was the whole point of the game. Like it
Mhm.
takes advantage of your brain seeing a pattern and wanting to create that pattern.
Yeah.
So you sort stuff and pass the level. In this case, it doesn't. It's just a lot more unorganic. So I just played the first level, I'll call it a day. So I say if you like games like A Little to the Left, do not bother with this one because if you play a little to the left, you already play like the superior version of it. And you haven't go play it. It's the superior version. The next game I retired really quickly because Planetary Life has a shit tutorial. Like, it's so bad. The only thing
Right.
that I gather is that I had to put like a couple of things that gave me energy to do stuff. But then, like, the next thing was to play with the clouds or something until the planet had like a specific temperature. So
Mhm.
I very much like wanted like a game like a little bit like what's the name of this one? I forgot the name. It's one that I played like not too long ago where you had to like uh pretty much like clean up a planet and give it like
Terra Nil?
Tyrannical, that one.
Yeah. That was a great game.
That was a great game. Do not play Planetary Life. Like the tutorials suck ass. Takes too fucking long to do anything. So I was like playing around with the clouds for a long time, and I didn't see anything happen. Like at most, like I think it was the temperature dropping that, and that was the thing that's supposed to be happening. But it
Right.
happens so slow, and I'm like, I'm not gonna be like this like 10 minutes trying to play with the clouds and stuff like that. Fuck off. Like, and it doesn't even give you like a tip of what is good to do with the clothes and what is not. You just have to slowly morph the clothes and
Mm.
and wait to see. So do not play this one.
The trailer kind of makes it look like it's almost trying to be a bit like Spore as well. Like there's a whole
Really?
animal design thing in Planetary Life.
I didn't get to there, so I have no idea.
I feel like it looks like it might suffer from a bit of what I think of as like early access failed tutorial, because people who play early access games like know what's happening all the time and know when they add new stuff, they kind of go, oh, cool, I'll try that system now. But when you're a totally
Yeah.
fresh player and there's no tutorial, it's like, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, in particular, I didn't know this was one. So you say it's on early access now?
Yeah.
Okay, it wasn't when I played the demo, so
Oh, no,
like,
sorry. It's not released yet, though. It's due to be on early access sometime this year.
oh yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, anyway. But yeah,
So
it looks
yeah,
like it could be quite complex, and you I can see why you might want a tutorial.
Yeah, I definitely need a tutorial for that one, and it didn't have any. Like, it has one, but it's so bad. And yeah, like the pace of the game is like too fucking slow for me. What I
Fair
didn't
enough.
enjoy was planet tiles.
Hmm.
So you have like a planet like canvas, and you have to place the blocks that you're given. So you know how in Tetris you have the block that you have like on screen, and then you have like a preview to the next block. So it's kind of like
Yep.
that. So you have to
Okay.
place the building blocks of land, like forest or fields or beach or mountains and stuff like that. So you have to place like the ones that are similar together, because that way they give you more points. But also you have
Hmm.
to keep in mind like you have missions. So for example, sometimes you're told that you have to have uh, like an area of, I don't know, 9 or plus beach squares.
Hmm.
Or sometimes you're told that you have to have exactly 4 forest squares, and you have to include them on anything else, like um so you have like a little forest like that's not touching other forest.
Hmm.
And the way it's set up is like an arcade style game, because you have to like try to get as high as of a score as possible, and it's
Hmm.
really fun. Like it became addicted to me. Like I
Yeah,
played
yeah.
I played like I did the tutorial, did a couple of levels, and then I got stuck like on one particular level and trying to get like the final tile cover, because on that particular map you have to cover every single fucking tile. But
Hmm.
also it became so addictive because like, hey, I feel like I can almost do it. So I played like that level over and over again like 10 times, and I was like, you know what, I should probably quit because holy crap, I'd spent already like half an hour on this single level. But yeah, it's extremely fun. I see it being a big hit because I think it hits like all the right notes,
Mm.
unlike the other games. So
It looks like a lot of fun. I'm just looking at the Steam page.
yeah, and
And
you
yeah.
also see like the high scores from other players, so it's like an extra
Oh,
motivator. It's
cool.
like, fuck you, Steve, you got like 10 points more. I'm gonna beat your ass. So yeah.
Brilliant.
And finally, and this is probably like my favorite, and it's the amazing crackpot. So well, I have a couple of my friends work Iwanabe, which is the company like doing this game. You might have
Hmm.
heard like a previous flop from Iwanabe that was Kong.
Don't know. Yeah.
It was horrible, but that was another situation of not having enough time to do the thing. But whatever. The thing is that forget about that game. The Amazing Crackpots is amazing. Like I feel like it wanna be like really shines like on 2D games rather than 3D games. Um, Mainly because I feel like more people are used to working with 2D games, or maybe I'm just sucking out of my ass. But the thing is that the Amazing Crackpots is kind of like a one-on-one or 2v2 game where you control a crazy little character with high mobility, and the thing you have to do is try to shoot projectiles or knock back projectiles and hit the kind of like vial thing that it's behind the enemy. The enemy.
Mm.
So you have to protect yours, because the moment that things fills up, then you lose.
Yep.
And right now, like for the demo, there were like 4 characters. The demo is still out, so if you want to try it out, go. I do recommend to play either like coach co-op with a friend, or like use the remote play feature, because it feels like that's the way it's the most fun. Uh,
Mm.
Especially since another player is a lot less predictable than uh, the PC doing stuff. So it's really fun because you are able to, well, fire a projectile, which is your main way to create a projectile to do damage. But you can also hit back a projectile like melee style. So characters have things that affect projectiles. So, for example, the one that I'm playing the most with is the Pegasus kind of character, and that fucker has the most mobility I've ever seen. Like, you can like while you hit projectiles, like the character kind of like spins, and you can like move the character when it's doing that. So you can like just be a little feathery tornado hitting things back as they arrive to your part of the field. But also you have an ability that kind of like shoots away a wave of energy that affects the trajectory of the projectiles that are coming your way. I think those are like the two main moves. But the second one, like the special move, you have to keep track of some little vials that kind of respawn on your side of the field. So you collect those, and that gives you an enemy to use your special moves. If you don't have that, well, tough luck. You can also build up like your special attack, which I think most characters is like in half the characters is a defensive move, and the other half of the characters is a I said defensive or offensive, like half are defensive and half are offensive. That's the thing. Whatever.
Yep.
And there's other character that's a witch, and that's the one my boyfriend is using the most. And that's a very difficult character to control. I tried it. I suck. But the thing about the witch is that she can like create these little like kind of like field where projectiles go into slow-mo. So it gives you like extra time to arrive to the projectile and kick it back. And that I think that's the special for the witch. But also you can like shoot projectiles, but put them at the particular height and then shoot them to the other side of the field. And instead of hitting back projectiles, you kind of like pocket them, and then you can shoot them back.
Cool.
So it has like I guess it has like limited controls, but it is very complex once you start playing it and start discovering like all the little things you can do. And also there are like I'm gonna call them like flying vials that have like potions that do certain things. Once someone's a little dragon on your side of the field, and it starts firing at the other side, and it's kind of fun. So yeah, I'm gonna shut up because you have a lot to talk about. But the amazing crackpots is amazing. Go play it with a friend.
Yeah, well, I'll start with that one because I did try that as well, and I wasn't as excited about it. But I will say, I only played it in single player with a bot, like a one-on-one bot kind of match, and it was a bit slow and a bit whatever. But I could totally see how it would be a lot of fun in multiplayer, especially if you had 4 players, like a 2-on-2 game or something. I feel like that would be really cool. And I really liked the graphics and the animation and everything. Like, it was really well put together. And it's just one of those games where it kind of, I feel like it relies on having enough multiplayer people to play it all together.
Yeah.
And without that, it would be a bit, like, bots are good. I like when people include bots and you can play it single player, because I'm always a supporter of that. But it's always, it's like playing Quake 3 against bots. It's always a bit shit. But even though it's a brilliant game, it's just a bit shit because you're meant to be playing against real people. So, I did enjoy it though. But that would be one I would pick up if I had the opportunity to play it with other people, and probably not if I didn't. But that's the nature of a multiplayer game. So I'll quickly go through the other ones I tried. First of all, I tried a game called Civ Idle, which is basically like an incremental / idle version of Civilization, which sounds really weird, but it's a kind of nice idea, but it was either way too complex or way too boring for me to really care about, because I'd rather just go play Civ. Like, it tries to make Civ into an idle game, which is fine, and I've got nothing against idle games. I like playing them. But I don't feel like it really had anything special going on there to really, hook you in. However, the second game I tried, the whole NextFest, was probably my favorite so far, was a game called Botany Manor. And this is a first-person kind of 3D environment exploration game, kind of in a very, very, very tangential way. Reminds me a little bit of The Witness in the way it's presented, but in no other way. So interpret that how you will. But essentially it's an exploration puzzle game where you go around this manor, like a mansion, and you figure out how to grow certain fictional plants and flowers and that sort of thing. E.g., in the demo, one of the plants you have to grow is a flower called Fulguria.
Okay.
And so as you explore the grounds of the manor and all that kind of thing, you find notes left by previous people who were there. And there's a bit of a story going on too that you're trying to like uncover. But you find seeds and you find different ingredients and things to make these plants grow. But they're all a bit, fantastical and mythical, as in you don't just plant them, add water and wait for it to grow. There's something else to do. So with this particular one, this Fulguria, I'd made a note of it just as an example. But you find a note that says that Fulguria blooms during lightning storms. So you find the seeds for this plant, you pop it in a pot, and then you go, okay, I need to make this grow and bloom. But it blooms during lightning storms. So as you're exploring, you find a setup where there's like an old school camera with a flash, like where you put the flash powder in and then light it and it goes kaboom. And so you set up the pot in front of the camera and you go and you find a chemistry set and you mix like magnesium and potassium so that you can make some flash powder for the camera, and you take it to the camera and you put it in the camera, and then you take a photo and make the flash go off. And because the flash goes off like a bolt of lightning, it makes the plant grow and bloom. And there you go, you've got your flower.
Oh.
So there's like puzzles like that to kind of figure out as you go. It's kind of like if I put a note here saying it's like if The Witness met strange horticulture in a way.
Okay.
Because the plants are all fictional and have different, requirements and uses and all that kind of stuff. But then the walking around and exploration does feel very kind of The Witnessy purely on the presentation side of it, as in the graphics use a lot of like flat textures of like one color. And it's quote unquote a bit cartoony, but it's also very realistic. It's a weird balance, but it's very cool. And there's basically, you explore your way through the mansion and everything and uncover stuff, and you solve puzzles, i.e. to grow weird plants in weird ways. So I really enjoyed it. That kind of game appeals to me, let me tell you. So I really like that. But anyway, moving on. The next one I tried was the Posthumous Investigation, which is a 2D side-scrolling point-and-click mystery game where you play as like a detective and you basically explore a 2D environment in a city and you find clues to solve cases, and it's very much a detective kind of go out and interview people, find clues, put them together, figure out who did the crime, that kind of thing. And it's presented in a very film noir kind of style because it's all black and white, and it's, that kind of gumshoe detective with the hat and the trench coat and everything. And yeah, it just seemed really cool, and like it had a lot of potential to be a lot of fun. I didn't obviously play heaps of the demo. I just played it enough to go, yeah, I'm interested in that. So I'm hoping that it kind of uses these systems really well and expands on it enough to be a very fun kind of detective game. Because I think there's also a lot of room for some really good detective games in the world that we don't have. So
Yeah.
I feel like this could be potentially one that, could fill that void. I also tried a game called Crypt Master, purely because it looked cool. And again, it's a black and white, very stylized, high contrast kind of graphic style. It's essentially a dungeon crawler in the style of 90s dungeon crawlers, where I'm trying to think, there was one more recently that was very well received, but can't remember the name. But it's kind of like you're moving on a grid. So you've got a party of 4, so there's like 2 people in front, 2 people in back,
But
and they
it's
all
like
appear at the bottom of the screen.
a first-person grid?
Kind of, because you're like looking from a first person of the whole party.
Yeah.
I know there was a Dungeons and Dragons game in the 90s that was set up the same way. And you basically move on a grid. So like you move forward in the grid then you like turn 90 degrees to the right if you want to look that way. You turn 90 degrees to the left if you want to look that way. Enemies kind of move on the grid as well, so when they get close enough, you can attack them. And, you know, depending on your party makeup, they all have different attacks and stuff. The difference with this one is that you do a lot of typing, like you type words and stuff. So you try and figure out attacks and things by typing words. So you might type like zap, and then your mage unlocks the ability to electrocute someone because you typed zap. So then when you're fighting something, you type zap and he'll shoot them with electricity kind of thing next time. And stuff like that. Or you might have like kick, and that makes the dude at the front kick someone. And yeah, there's heaps of stuff like that all throughout the game where you just have to like figure out words that are used as triggers. And it looks really cool. The graphics are stunning, I think, so they're really my kind of thing with the graphics. But I'm not really big on that whole kind of dungeon crawler kind of style of gameplay anyway. Like I dug it in the 90s, but I haven't really got into it ever since then. But if someone is into that sort of stuff, I would definitely recommend checking this out. It's a very cool modern take on a very old school style of game.
Yeah, like it reminds me a little bit of either Adrian Odyssey, Persona Q, or some older Two Mountains games, especially Strange Journey, that it has like the same kind of grid-based movement.
Yeah. And it's I just know them as dungeon crawlers, but I know that term has changed a lot in time. But I think if anyone is interested, if you look at the trailer, you'll see exactly what I mean. Not only with the graphics, but also the style of game that it is. So, yeah. I checked out.
Be sure to look for Crypt Master, like everything together. Because if you look for Crypt Master on Google, you have like Roblox stuff.
Yeah, it's all one word.
It's all one word, so yeah.
So I checked out another quote-unquote game called Make Room, which is essentially a tool more than a game. And I noticed there were a couple of these games or similar games in NextFest this year where it's basically a 3D diorama making tool where you get a 3D space of a room and you can add furniture to it and decorate it how you want. And that's basically the whole game. And it might give you objectives such as, hey, make yourself a gaming setup room because you want to be a streamer or something. So you get yourself a desk and a chair and a computer and, you know, maybe some posters on the wall and that kind of stuff and blah, blah, blah. And that's it. You just make rooms kind of thing. It's like The Sims without The Sims. So not really my kind of thing. I'd rather go play The Sims, basically. It didn't really hit me in the same way. Like, it kind of made me think that it could have had the same sort of appeal as a game like Unpacking, where the objective is more just you want to make stuff nice or you just want to arrange things, kind of like even A Little to the Left or something like that, where the appeal is just, making something that makes sense and put in order and go, yeah, that's cool, and then move on to the next one. But it just kind of, at least in the demo, it lacked objectives and that kind of thing. I also tried a game called Anti-Paint, which is a very straight-up twin-stick shooter. The idea is nice, and I love twin-stick shooters, but I didn't like this one very much at all. The idea is fun. You pay as like basically a paintbrush who shoots paint at things, and as you kind of destroy other bits of paint and stuff, it creates like a canvas of a painting that you create while you play. So you make paint explode, and it obviously adds then color to a canvas, and so on and so forth. But the controls are a bit shit. The graphics didn't really grab me. And if there's one thing I hate in twin stick shooters, it's like clunky feeling controls. I want it to feel tight and quick and responsive. And this one did not. So didn't care for that one. I played Coffee Caravan, which is a small time management game about making coffee in a coffee truck. It's basically like any other food prep game that you've played where you have to, like, customers come in, you have to make them what they order in time before they get pissed off and leave. And that's pretty much it. It's, again, a cool idea, but the controls were crap. I didn't like the way they were put together. The presentation was not great, but the idea was okay. but it really needs a lot of polish. I feel like it's not quite ready to go quite yet. Played a racing game called #Drive Rally. This was actually really good. Very, very arcadey. It's a rally game. So it's, point-to-point races on your own through wild rally stages.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole thing is like very cartoony and very kind of, I want to say it's trying to be a bit retro and stuff, but it's just basically a cartoony rally game. And it felt fun to play. It's very arcadey. It's not realistic. But yeah, it felt like a lot of fun to play. There's a lot of comedy in there as well because like your co-driver kind of gives you shit as you play and and comments on what you're doing as in like, or like comments on what you're doing and says stuff like, if you go off the track or something, they're like, hey, that's not the right way, but let's have fun anyway. Or like, let's go cross country. And just talks crap the whole time. So that was good. I put that on my wish list just because it seemed like a fun, simple little racing game. Another one I played was Broken Roads, which is actually an Australian setting, which is kind of weird. Mm-hmm. Even Australian-made games are not necessarily set in Australia, so that's what kind of made me, what piqued my interest. And it's basically an isometric kind of tactics strategy game, and it's set in a post-apocalyptic Australian outback. And I kind of liked it because it's like that kind of typical isometric tactics kind of gameplay where you've got 4 people in your party or however many people, and you kind of work your way through various locations and you can talk to people and learn things and then go do quests for people and fulfill requests and that sort of stuff. And obviously fight bad guys and blah, blah, blah. But the thing that I'll admit, the thing that did appeal to me was the fact that it was Australian, because not purely because it's Australian, but I like the Australian setting and the way they've executed it, I feel is pretty good so far anyway in the demo. So that, I'm interested to check it out. I don't know if it'll be a great game in the grand scheme of things, but I think it'll be a fun one to check out and, see what they've done. I'm halfway through. I played Reyes 2, which I don't have much to say about because if you played the first game, Reyes, it's basically the same thing, just with more stuff. And Reyes is basically a game which is like a god game, but you have actual gods that you command who create different plants and life and animals and stuff on a little planet. And then there are people who settle and you kind of help them flourish by, developing the earth around them. Like you can create oceans and you can create mountains and you can create forests and, all this kind of stuff that will help them thrive or not. But this is the second one, and it was basically so much like the first one that I didn't really get interested anyway, because I was like, yeah, I've played the first one. Don't see why I need a second one that's basically the same thing. Played a game called Eighth Heaven, which I kind of... I'm going to just go with my notes on this because I don't remember this game very much. But my notes say it's kind of a boring relationship building game. Reminds me of Animal Crossing if all the villagers wanted to have sex with each other. So that's Eighth Heaven. Didn't excite me enough. I don't really want to play it.
Excuse me, what? Sorry, I had the trash track to being noisy, so I was muted. But excuse me, what?
Yeah, so it's set up kind of like Animal Crossing, where you go to a location and you like move around, and there's like people who live there and you can talk to and that kind of thing. But the goal, from what I can gather, is that you just want to sleep with them. That's the whole point of the game. So it's kind of like, imagine Animal Crossing, but instead of doing all the other stuff, you're just trying to get it on. And it's kind of a bit crap. But anyway, moving on. I played a game called Synergy, which is a post-apocalyptic city builder. It's got some interesting ideas. The graphics look like the graphics in Sable, if anyone remembers that. It's like a very strong kind of cel-shaded presentation. It's a pretty interesting city builder. It uses... the weather is a big thing in this one. So weather changing, like changes temperatures and, disasters and that sort of thing, which adds another wrinkle to the whole city builder kind of thing. It was pretty fun. Again, I don't know if it stood out so much, but it was enough that I wishlisted it. So I was like, yeah, I'll check that out. Another game called Summer House, which I put in quotes, a game.
A game?
Where you build a house using shapes and assets. So it's like it's like a 2D thing, and you build a house. You like get a wall and you place it down, and you get another one and you place it there, and then you put a window there and a door, and it could be cool, but it's way too undercooked, if anything, to be worth even looking at. Again, another one I checked out, which again is not really anything, was called Spirit City: The Lo-Fi Sessions. And again, it's not so much for a game, but it's a tool for basically playing some chill beats while you're working, kind of thing. It's one of those sorts of things, like put it on in the background. It's got an inbuilt to-do list, and like it has timers and alarms and all that kind of stuff involved. So it's built as more like a productivity tool. But yeah, couldn't be bothered, to be honest. I use a lot of productivity tools every day, and this one did not make me think, oh, that'll replace everything. Another game called Dread Dawn, which is a top-down zombie survival game. Reminded me a little bit of Project Zomboid. Like, it was kind of an interesting idea, but because the whole game kind of starts off, you're a survivor in a university dorm kind of situation, and there are zombies around, and you kind of have to kind of explore and find items and stuff in cabinets or lockers and that kind of stuff, and try and avoid getting eaten by zombies. And then you can like team up with other people who will like shoot the zombies for you. You can push zombies over. You can like survive that way. But at least at this stage, it's pretty freaking janky. It's, I don't want this to sound like insensitive or anything, but it's one of those games that you can tell is an unfinished Asian version of Project Zomboid, if you want to put it that way. It feels like someone in China ripped it off, hasn't done a very good job, and put it out. Yeah. And I know that sounds really mean and really harsh, but that's kind of what it felt like. And maybe that's the case. I don't know. Because there's certain parts that are not translated, like they're in characters, not in English, even though I selected English. The menus are terrible. Like the UI is just horrible. So it's obviously just been thrown together to be functional and not good. But yeah, that was probably the last of the shit games. And then I've got a few left which are really good. So I played one called Cyber Manhunt: The New World. And this is a hacking game, much like other hacking games. It's very unrealistic because it's not trying to go for realism. But the real fun part of it is you play as an AI. So rather than being a human that's hacking stuff, you're playing an artificial intelligence that's been built who goes and hacks stuff on behalf of your human employers to do certain things. And it's really cool. It's basically there's a lot of social engineering kind of stuff involved where you've got to gather data from people's, emails and phones and whatever else to basically build a profile of them and their data and their hobbies and, all the kind of stuff that you'd expect to be harvested online about anyone. And then, try and figure out who the culprit is that you're looking for, or not necessarily culprit, but suspect. Because like in the demo, the case is about someone's kind of sold company secrets to someone else. So you're trying to figure out which employee has sold the company secrets. So you're going through all their stuff. And part of it is you have to like hack into their stuff by identifying, what they're into. And you send them like a phishing email talking about stuff that they're into so that they respond to it. And you get more data that way. And yeah. But the thing that I found interesting was that you're playing as the AI and not as a human.
What?
Which kind of, there's some questions in the beginning about, as an AI, will you follow what humans tell you to do blindly, or will you try and make your own decisions? Or, there's some potential there that they could explore some of those ideas, which I think is very cool.
Yeah, definitely.
And I like a good kind of fictional hacking game. Like, it's very unrealistic. Like, you can literally, if you want to, there's one screen where, say, you're trying to log into something. So you just kind of drag and drop the username into the username field. You don't even have to type it out kind of thing, because it's more about fun than actual hacking. Speaking of fun as well, I played a game called The Duck Detective: The Secret Salami. And
it was fun.
It's a very silly and fun isometric point-and-click detective game where you play as a duck who is a detective. It's very cartoony and it's very funny. And it's pretty much what it says on the tin. Like,
I kind of love it.
You gather clues and you put together deductions for scenarios. Like in the demo, the very first thing you do is you wake up and you can't remember what you did the night before. So you have to kind of go through your office and from the clues, figure out what you did the night before. And it turns out that you spent all your money on bread because you really wanted bread because you're a duck. And so you kind of determine, you put together the clues where you find like, oh, I've got a fresh loaf of bread here. And oh, I've got a receipt for like $100 that I spent on the bread. And, you know, so on and so forth. And it just looks like a whole lot of fun. And I definitely want to play that full game. So yeah, that was a good one. Almost done. The next one was News Tower, which is kind of like a sim tower kind of game, but you're playing as a newspaper publisher or, you know, studio or whatever they're called, like company, where it's kind of like old school. It's kind of set in a kind of 50s, 60s kind of era newspaper kind of place. And you have to like hire staff and determine stories and send reporters off to find stories. And yeah, it's very much a sim kind of management game. But I really like the way it's presented. It looks really cool. The writing's good. It seems like it's got enough depth where it would really kind of let you do lots of different things. And it just looks up straight up fun if you're into like a sim management kind of game. And, you know, never played one as a newspaper. A really weird game I played, which I actually really enjoyed, is one called Children of the Sun.
Ooh.
And
Okay.
it's a unique kind of sniper puzzle game, which seems weird, but you play as
Yeah, definitely.
you play as a sniper, and there's like a scene, like a map with enemies on it that you need to kill. And the idea is you want to kill them as quickly and efficiently as possible to get a high score on the leaderboard, basically. But the way the game works is there's the map, which is kind of in the middle of a circle. And as the sniper, you run around in a circle around the map to kind of, you know, scout it out and find out where all the enemies are. But then you kind of plan out your shots because it's like a magic bullet thing where you shoot the first person and then from the point where it hits the first person, you can change to then shoot the next person and then change to then shoot the next person and so on and so forth. And you can do stuff like hit cars to blow them up and hurt people. You can go through fire to like burn stuff and all that kind of thing. So ultimately you're taking one shot, but then as it moves, it kind of gives you a bit of slowdown and you can re-aim it and your shot kind of bounces between all the enemies throughout the map if you've planned it properly. If you haven't, you might find that you end up hitting, like I did in one of the maps, you hit an enemy, but there's still another enemy, but because of where that enemy was, you don't actually have a line of sight to get to the last enemy. So you have to go and try again. So that's where it's like a puzzle because they're all in different positions and different places. And as soon as essentially they're aware that you've shot someone, all the other enemies start running away as well. So even though it kind of slows down to slow motion, they start moving.
That's inconvenient.
So, but it's like the presentation is really weird. Like not what I was expecting at all. It's this kind of crazy anime style graphics and character design, and like the enemies glow in the dark and their eyes are like really bright and glowy, like they're on fire. And it's just a really weird game, but a lot of fun. It actually, when I first loaded it up, I'm like, oh, this doesn't seem like my kind of thing. But then I played a couple of levels. I was like, man, this is actually really a lot of fun. So, yeah, that's Children of the Sun. I'm not sure why it's called Children of the Sun, though. But, doesn't matter.
Not gonna ditch.
Yeah, it's a good song by Rage Against the Machine. But another one I played was Mullet Mad Jack, which is essentially a very stylish first-person shooter, kind of retro style. You know how there's a million retro style first-person shooters around. But this one is super stylish, and you're on a timer. And the presentation for this is what sells it because you essentially get roped in. It's a futuristic world, and you get roped in to be on a TV show where you have 15 seconds of life. And the only way you can extend your life is by killing other dudes and doing, you know, fancy stuff that people who are watching kind of go, yeah, that's really cool. And they cheer and you get more life. So the idea is like you cruise through these rooms, very Hotline Miami style, where it's at first person, obviously, but you go through as quick as you can and like shoot dudes while you're going. You might kick them into like a fan that chops them up so you get more time for that because it's fancier and more impressive. But each level only takes like a minute to get through because you just like bam, 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 bam. But you might try it a couple of times because the quicker you can get through and the more stylish way you get through is better. But this game is like, it's just all style. It's just dripping with awesome presentation. And it feels like kind of if all of that was in the Akira universe, I want to say, and used like Akira graphics, which I'm a big fan of. So there's that. But yeah, that looks like heaps of fun. It looks like the kind of game I'd be crap at. And it felt like the kind of game I'd be crap at because it can be quite stressful because you're trying to go as fast as you can and be as efficient as you can. And you've literally got 15 seconds before you die. So that's not a lot of time. And yeah, it's pretty frantic and mental, but a lot of fun. And just the presentation is like chef's kiss. Beautiful. And the very last one I played, just to wrap this up, was a kind of horror game called Indica, which is full of style, and it's Indika. The trailer is trippy as all hell, which is what attracted me to it. It looks really surreal and weird. And then I played it, and it's like a third-person adventure kind of game, but it's set in almost like a steampunky alternate Russian, highly religious kind of remote area. And you play as a nun who's like a Russian Orthodox nun.
Okay.
And in the demo, at least when it starts, you've been kidnapped by a prisoner who's escaped from prison. And this prisoner believes that God is talking to them. And you kind of help them kind of escape because they've kidnapped you and they're basically forcing you to do that. But as you play through the game, you realize that your character, who's the nun, kind of also has her own things going on where she hears voices. And there are certain scenes where it gets really, really weird and trippy, and you hear voices like telling you to sin and tempting you to do things that are wrong and all this kind of stuff. And it's really well put together. Like, it sounds a bit cheesy when I describe it, but it is really well put together and really compelling and kind of disturbing. But one of the cool things is one of the mechanics is like when you as the nun are in that scenario where you're hearing voices and you're getting tormented essentially by these things, these outside influences, you can there's a button you can push to pray, and she starts praying and the world just kind of goes back to normal and you stop hearing the voices and everything, but you can hear her like praying to herself, like she's trying to keep herself in reality. And then when you stop praying, everything goes twisted again and the whole scenery changes and everything's this like surreal kind of weird demonic looking landscape kind of thing. And these voices start talking again and all this kind of stuff.
Kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit horror. It looks like it could be quite scary in parts. But it's so weird and surreal and cool that I think I want to play it anyway. It's one of those ones I'll grin and bear it and try and get through it because it just looks so cool. And I highly recommend everyone go watch the trailer at least because the trailer is trippy and it really sold it for me. And I'm looking forward to seeing how creative this game gets and how full on it can be. But yeah, that was the last demo I tried.
Those were a lot of demos.
Like I said, I've got some more to play, so maybe I'll have some more to talk about next week. But I think that'll do us for now. We've probably gone on about it too much. But maybe there's some things in there that listeners you've heard and you've piqued your interest and you want to go check out. So that's kind of the point. If you've played any demos during NextFest that you think are worth checking out or surprised you or new things you hadn't heard of, please let us know because I love playing me a demo and finding out about games by playing them. So I'm always keen to be recommended stuff.
Not that we don't have a huge backlog already, but anyway.
Nah, we don't need to worry about that. Moving right along. Paula, are you ready to be quizzed?
I am ready to be quizzed.
Okay, I have a game here for you. I'm going to quiz you. And hopefully you won't get it from the first thing again. Once I find a comment for you. Okay, so hard to tell if this will give it away or not. But let's roll the dice. This is for a main story playthrough. It took this player just under 12 hours to complete. The comment they said was, beat the main story, had quite a few characters die.
Quite a few characters die. Is it a Fire Emblem?
It is not Fire Emblem.
Okay, which other thing has permadeath?
They also played on Nintendo Switch, I can tell you.
You said the main story had quite a few characters die. Is it Pure Fury by any chance?
No.
Banner Saga?
It is the Banner Saga.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Because for anyone listening, I just randomized Paula's completion list, and when Banner Saga came up, I'm like, we've been talking about this too much. I have to use it. So,
yeah.
Well done. That was nice and easy one.
Yeah, it felt like something with permadeath, but I wasn't sure. Okay, none of the Fire Emblems I played, I beat it in 12 hours, but there are like some crazy people out there, so it was worth a try.
Well, just out of interest, Banner Saga ranges from about 10 and a half hours for main story to about 30 hours completionist.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well, that was nice and painless. Another one. as Paula pulls away now with 7 points to my measly 2. Gotta get that brain working better next time.
Well then.
Well done. Congratulations. I think you deserve one of these.
Well then, with that, we end another episode of the HLTB podcast. Happy 6th anniversary to the podcast.
Yes. Very cool.
Yeah. You could leave a comment about any of the games here, or even about one of your favorite moments of the podcast. So while you're there, press that subscribe button. Like the video if you're on YouTube. I don't know what you do in the other platforms, but whatever.
It's all good.
It's all good. Recommend the podcast to your friends and all that jazz. So yeah, goodbye everyone. See you later.
Catch you on the next one.
So I was like playing around with the clouds for a long time.